Hello everybody, welcome back to Familia Pablanu. I'm the one and only Anu.
And I'm Pablo, this is Pablo.
And this is Baby, just Baby. And first of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed, liking and sharing and watching all of our How We Met series. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Just click the subscribe button and the bell button so you get notifications. We have a series lined up.
If you haven't seen it yet, how we first met and everything, look in the description.
Yes, yeah. So please read descriptions. Please read the descriptions. And in this series, it gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
Without further ado, here we go.
My Africa, your children are home.
So things went on and we would spend almost every evening together after I'd come from work because our house was not really too far from each other. I would go to his house, we eat dinner, I would go back to my house.
Pretty much every night she would come over for dinner. So I would cook dinner, maybe she would come and finish up cooking with me and whatnot. And we did that a lot. I mean, it was basically every night, almost every single night.
Yeah, and then on Sundays they'll make all this food. I would join them. Lots of unhealthy foods. Oh my gosh, was it every Sunday? Was a sausage, as well as what else? Biscuit gravy.
And then on the weekends we would do things together. Sunday church together.
During church Sunday, so they'll start talking about marriage couples. Basically, it's also similar to women. Know your role. You need to be content. You need to not be ambitious at all. Don't try to say you want to go out and do work. You have to be content to stay in house and raise children.
Very quickly, as we've been talking and getting to know one another, I was realizing every time we spoke, like there would be something that she was adamant about. You know, for example, like adamant about going to med school, right? No, she's going to go to med school. How's this going to work if we're married? Well, that's what I've been planning for years and years and years and years and years. Later on, she told me it was more of her parents' dream for her than her dream. That's what they wanted her to do. And for her personally, she wasn't really intending on that. And that came out later. But that one, I was just like, hey, you know, even if we get married, like med school, if that's what God wants, as I would always say, then it'll work out. You know, we'll make it work. You know, we'll figure out the timing. Even if we have children at that time, you know, we'll figure it out. We'll make it work. You know, we'll make it happen. If that's what I wish I would have said. If that's what you want, you know, if that's what you want, then absolutely we'll make it happen. You know, if that's your passion, if that's your desire, then yeah, we'll make it happen. But I didn't know to speak like that, you know. I only knew to speak like, you know, if that's what God wants, which is very vague and very often can lead to, in my case, I'm not sure, but I know in some other men's case in my family, that can lead to manipulation, where it's like, oh, if it's what God wants, and then it's like, nope, God doesn't want this, so no, not doing it, you know. So there's no real considering the wants and desires of the woman in that case. In my case, I was really honestly like, I don't know. I mean, we'll make it work. I was honestly willing to try to make it work, you know, if that's what God wanted, which again leaves it up to religious leaders to tell me what God wants in some cases, which you'll see later on is what sometimes happen. You
have to have many children. And as a woman, you're basically a doormat, and you are basically in the same category as children. The husband, the man is above you, and then there's God, Father, Son, and all of that stuff. And the women are treated very, very terribly, very terribly. But every Sunday they preach about, men, you must appreciate your women. Women are very important. So they will say that at the preaching. And the same amount of mouth saying things like, do not listen. I repeat, do not listen to your wives, because Genesis says that women are the reason why Adam and Eve was the reason why Adam fell. So Eve is the problem. Eve listened to the devil, and so far, till today, Eve is still, all of the women in the world has been deceived by what they hear, which is from the demons. And then you cannot trust what they say. So do not trust your wives. Whatever she's saying, if it's against what you're going for, even if they're trying to criticize you, like what you're doing is not right. I mean, come on, look at what you're doing. You cannot listen to that woman. It's from the devil. So you just have to rebuke it and say the spirit should go away from her and say that is not from God. But if it's good things, it's from God. But if it's not good, it's not from God. It's from the demons that hit Jezebel's spirit. So be careful of that. So don't listen to your woman. And it made all of these men become a lot arrogant. They're very mean to their wives. The women will try to talk, but are silent. They can't really speak up. They're really treated really poorly, really badly.
Anyway, so even those things, she started flipping, and she even told me, you know what? I can actually really see myself with you, you know, married, and look forward to it. And I can actually see even having children with you, and it is exciting to me, you know. And so I heard those things, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's like a huge, like 360 degree, you know, turn, or not 360, 180 degree, you know, flip. And I was like, wow, this must be God, right, doing this. And but again, little did I know all that was going on in the background in her mind, and kind of the influences and manipulations that she was feeling and things like that.
At the same time, I was just seeing a lot of red flags come up left and right. I told my sister said, maybe you should break up with this guy. There's a lot of red flags. Maybe that's for a reason. Those two ladies broke up with him for a reason. I'm like, but I do like him.
So I was like, wow, God's really doing this, you know, flipping her, making her think of things differently, thinking of, because she even came back and was like, because she had told me, you know, I'm so afraid of marriage because I've seen it. I've seen marriages that just did not work, you know, for so much of my life. And she was like, it's just so much strife. There's so much trouble. She's like, I don't want that, you know. I'm really afraid of marriage, afraid of becoming something I don't want to become, you know, being turned into nothing. She's like, I don't want that. And then for children, she was like, that scares me. I can't even imagine having children. And I was like, you know, because I had told her early on, like, that I had heard from God, or I thought I had heard from God years and years before, audibly, that, because I had been with this a girlfriend who had stated, like, I only want one child, and I'd audibly heard, or as I thought I did, I was very tired at the time, but that, what is it, your wife will not say these things, not even say them, right? And I stupidly shared that with Anu, and that stuck with her. And so she was like, oh crap, if I want to be his wife, right, I can't even think these things, even say these things. That's how she took it. I didn't mean for that to happen. But you know, I was just saying, because in my mind it was like, hey, and if Anu doesn't want these things, you know, if she doesn't want these things, that's fine. We just go our own ways, you know, that sort of thing. Which, but it felt, I think, to her more like blackmail, like trying to manipulate, influence, things like that. Unfortunately, but for me, I just said those things, I don't know, just to say them, to say, hey, this is where I'm at, this is what I think, these are my beliefs, basically. So in addition to all the kind of religious things like that, there was also, we also had a bit of, you know, romance in our own ways, even after I had, you know, after our kind of awkward kiss and everything, and and all of that, kind of things that really solidified for me about Anu, and that, you know, there was this spark, there was this thing between us. It happened in my office, and so I had brought her to my office, I guess just to see my office. We were walking around campus, I think, and I was like, hey, you want to see my office? And so so we went there, and we were both, and I had this big, like, full-length window in the corner that you could look out of, and you could see the library and everything. And so we walked over there, and she was looking out the window. I was right next to her. I might have had my arm around her, I can't remember. I think I did. And then she turned towards me, and she just, like, turned towards me, and we were kind of looking at each other, and she put her hand on my chest and was like looking at my chest, and then she looked up at me, and it was quite a moment. I think if I wasn't trying to, you know, not be physical at all with her, not even kiss or anything, if we had just been normal human beings at that moment, like, the spark, like, I felt it, and she felt it too, and I guess normally we would have kissed at that point. But I didn't even think about it because I thought she was just nervous, because she noticed it too. She looked up at me and then got kind of scared and like pulled away like, ah! And I laughed. I thought it was funny because I felt the same thing. You know, I felt this closeness, this spark that I never felt you know, with anyone else like that. It was like when she turned towards me and put her hand on my chest and looked at it, just like, and I think my arm was around her, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just like we fit. You know, we just fit. I can't describe it, but it was just like anyway, it was a beautiful moment. At least in my memory, for me, it was a real beautiful moment, and it was one of those things that, one of those many things that just kind of clinched it for me in my heart, I guess, that this woman is the one that I want to be with. You know, like, I don't know, it just kind of, it was just one of those things that confirmed it for me, I guess I could say.
Okay, when me and him first met, things were nice. We liked each other. The chemistry was there. But as soon as the church was involved, the family, the parents was involved, things started getting more like a contract, documentation, like you're on this contract, the woman's wifely duty contract and husband contract. So things start getting really weird like that.
So I was seeing this as going really well. And I was like, wow, you know, she's really shaping up. I'm not even doing it, you know, because in the past, like I said, I tried to make women like become the perfect wife for me. So for this, I was like, I'm just doing hands off. I'm just letting her know what I prefer, what I think, what I believe, and then, you know, we'll see what happens. But that was still putting pressure on her to be a certain way, and I didn't know that. And so, but anyways, I thought it was going great, right? She's like, wow, she's really shaping up, you know, to really fit with my beliefs and all this kind of stuff, you know, in addition to being absolutely gorgeous and a wonderful person to spend time with and be with. You know, obviously, I mean, I wanted her physically as well, obviously, from the beginning, but, you know, I was trying to be careful and focus more on the principles, right? The values. Do we have the same values? And so anyways, our values seem to be kind of matching up. And I was like, okay, awesome. So I was like, hey, marriage, huh?
So I was having a lot of questions about maybe his ex and all that stuff. And I get very, and I told him like, okay, maybe I don't know if I can do this. And his father called not too long after that. Maybe we came out of the gym, and he was saying, oh yeah, and it was a little farther. I was in the car, maybe was outside talking to his father. I said, yeah, she was just having questions and having doubts and all of that stuff. And I don't know what to do. And he was asking questions from his father, and his father said, yeah, you just enjoy each other's company, but give the phone to her, let me speak with her. And the father said, so you're having doubts about Pablo, eh? You're having doubts. And I'm like, yes, he said these things, and red flags, like, okay. You know, women should do this, blah, blah, blah. The Bible said women, you should obey, or he would speak this word, and it's kind of a brainwashing technique. But I got off the phone with him, and I gave the phone back to Pablo that time, and I was like, Pablo, did you realize you just reported me to your father? I was like, no, I didn't report. I was just telling the situation. He was asking how things were going, and I explained to him, like, you know, you're having doubts, you're having questions and all that. I'm like, well, you realize you reported me to your father. We could have deal with it between each other, but why is your father involved in our relationship? That's a little concerning. And he's the one who kept telling me, no, don't worry. You know, once we decide we're gonna get married and all that, if we get married, my parents are not going to be in the picture. You know, you don't marry a person's family, you just marry that guy, which is the biggest lie in the whole of the world. No, that didn't turn out to be true. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing in our story, how we met series.
So stay tuned as we talk about more and more about our relationship, how it developed, you know, all the way through proposal, all the way up to wedding,
Yeah.
all the drama that ensued.
Right. Well, you think you've seen drama? Wait till you hear ours. So keep watching. Until next time, Odabo. Adios.
See you next time.
Bye.